Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to another episode of Footprints. I'm your host, Mr. Davis. I'm an educator at BHS, Beverly High School. And joining me today on Footprints is a freshman from Beverly High School. This is Mallory Calice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mallory Calice to our show.
Hi.
So Mallory and I are going to have a conversation about friendships. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, right away I'm going to ask her a question that I usually ask everybody that comes on here, right off the bat. Tell us something, Mallory, about yourself that nobody knows. Something kind of quirky.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Give us something about you that no one knows.
I used to be really into animation.
Ah.
I would animate like every day.
Okay.
But I don't animate as much anymore. I think the last time was 2022. But I used to be really into animation. Like,
Really
I knew,
into
like,
it.
everything about it.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that. How did you get involved with that?
I used to see a lot of people animate on YouTube, like short animations, usually like a minute, 2 minutes, or even like Disney films where they actually do animate or like hand draw it, like old Disney films. I used to be really into those as well. So I always had this weird passion for animating, not as much anymore, but I was really into animating.
Really? That's kind of cool. That's an interesting thing to be. Oh, man, I don't know if I could ever do anything like that. That's not bad.
It takes a lot of time.
I would imagine it does. So let me just tell you really quickly before we really get started. Mr. Davis, hello. I am an advisor to the podcasting club here at BHS, and also the Alliance for Students of Color. So myself and Mr. Pittman were involved in that, and if you would like to get involved with that, please send me an email at adavis@beverlyschools.org, and we'll get going with that. Mallory and I are going to have a conversation about friendships, and I think this is an interesting conversation, a very interesting subject, because everybody has friends,
Yeah.
right? And they play a very transformative type of role in your life, friends do. And as we navigate through middle school and high school, sometimes those friendships change a little bit, and they shape who we are, not only just as individuals, but also collectively as we go through our personal life, right? And sometimes it's your emotions kind of change a little bit. So tell me a little bit about middle school and your friends. Like, how do you choose friends, first of all? Let's start with that.
I like to get to know the person first, like first off the bat, see who they are as a person when they're not around friends, when they're with family, what they do outside of school, what they do in school, how they interpret certain opinions. You know what I mean? If we have very similar opinions and standpoints, it's very easy to become friends with that person because you have a lot in common. You like the same things as that person. You say the same things as that person.
Right.
If you have a lot in common in person, it's very easy to become friends with them.
Oh, no doubt. So, like, they might have a budding interest in, say, a sport, right? So if you have that interest and they have the same interest, then it's easy to become friends,
Yeah.
right? So now let's flip the coin over a little bit now. So let's think about this for a minute. It's great that you have something in common with somebody, but what if you don't have something in common with someone? Can you still be their friend?
Yes, I do believe even if you have nothing in common with that person, you don't like the same things, even if you don't even like each other, I still believe there's a potential to be friends with that person if you put your differences aside to sort of collect one certain thing that you both like in common. Because even if you don't have anything in common with that person, you do still technically have something in common with that person. Even if it's not hobbies or ideas or opinions, there's still something in there that will allow you to be friends.
Okay.
There's never a moment where you can't be friends with somebody because they're so different from you.
I like that. So, I mean, even though people are different and they have different perspectives, you can still be friends with them. They have different likes. I love that. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about cliques, because during middle school, that happens quite a bit, right? Cliques kind of form, right? You usually have all of the people who are athletic over here and the people who are brainy or smart over here and people who are like artsy over here. So tell me a little bit about your friends, and are you guys involved in any type of cliques like that?
I believe we're so genuinely different and diverse from each other that I don't think we can be categorized in a way.
Okay.
like all of us are interested in different things and have different sets of skills to the point where it's like even if you tried to put us in some sort of group or category, it wouldn't really work because some people are, you know, a little miscellaneous, some people like this, some people like that. Like a lot of my friends don't like the same things as I do, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't like obstruct me from being friends with them. It just sort of obstructs me from being in like some sort of clique or group with them. We're all individual, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really like to think of us as a group of people or a clique, but more just individual people who get together.
Okay.
Not really in a group way.
So how do you really choose the person you're going to be friends with? How does that go? What's that conversation like?
Well, it takes a lot of courage for me to even say hi to the person.
Yeah.
But once that starts, we continue talking. I get to know the person. Like I ask maybe their favorite color or what they like to do for fun or how many siblings they have. And their opinions or how they are, they change based on if I'm around them versus like a better friend around them will also help me determine. Because if they're like awkward or like reserved around me, but then like more hyper or energetic or talkative around someone else, then that'll kind of help me determine if we're really meant to be friends or like if we're on that level of comfortability to like address each other as friends.
I like that. So emotional growth is really big when you're really choosing a friend, right? And your friends really become like sounding boards for a lot of different things as you're navigating through life, right? You find different emotions and things like that you're navigating through. Sometimes you might have a crush on somebody and you share that with a friend, right? You're like, oh, man, I don't know. I don't want this to get out, right? So that happens a lot. And there's a learning curve with that, right? Sometimes you can tell your friends everything, and then sometimes you feel like, oh, I can't really tell them anything, right? And so let me ask you this. What happens if you do have a crush on somebody? This is just a hypothetical situation, right? And then all of a sudden you share that with your friend.
Right.
And your friend actually now shares it with someone that you didn't want him to share it with. And now you have a disagreement between you. What happens then?
This is a very common problem in friendships. It happens a lot. Some people don't really know what they should tell other people and what they shouldn't. And in the situation that this happens to me, I don't necessarily get like really that mad about it or take it personal. Because I have done it. Everyone has done it at some point, shared something they didn't mean to share. Like, it's a human error, so I don't take it too personal.
Okay.
It's only personal if it's like, I like specified that this should not be like disclosed with anybody else.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, you cannot tell this person whatsoever. And then they go and tell them. That's when it's like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Yeah, so how do you navigate that disagreement? So now your friend has kind of broken your trust a little bit, right? You're like, oh man, I told her and him this in confidence, and all of a sudden, like, you know, they did that to me. How do you feel about that? And how do you repair that?
I never really get to a point where it's like, I'm just absolutely angry at that person, like I can't be around them.
Okay.
Sure, I'll be like annoyed or irritated, but never really to a point where it's like a genuine problem. Usually I'll just talk to the person. I'm like, hey, you told this person that I liked them, or you told this person that I liked so-and-so, and I didn't really appreciate that. Could you not tell anybody else?
Okay.
Kind of just stop it there.
That's it. So I like how you did that. It's straightforward, straight to the point. That's how my parents raised me. Just get right to it. You know, just cut off all the excess fat. And hey, this is the deal. This is what happened. I don't appreciate you doing that. Don't do that again. You know what I mean? How many siblings do you have?
I have two
Mallory?
older brothers.
Two older brothers. One's named Hugh, and the other one's name is?
Huriel.
Huriel. Okay. And how old are they?
Huriel is 21. Hugh is 25.
Excellent. And so what's the dynamic like at the house? Because you're the youngest, right?
Yes.
So do you get to do a lot of stuff that they didn't get to do?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
It depends on what it is.
Okay.
So,
All right.
like, going to people's houses, I have a better chance of doing that than they did. Or, it's kind of the same.
Okay.
It's just because my brother's friends
All right.
are sort of friends of my family. So
Yep.
it's already, like, family friends. And they've always been around to help my family, so that's why it's much easier to go to them and, like, go to their houses and stuff.
I like
My
that.
parents don't know my friends too well. That's why
Oh,
it's a little bit harder to get like into hangouts and stuff.
okay. So that's an interesting dynamic. You said your parents don't know your friends too well. They kind of come over and they might say hi, and then they just go into the room or whatever you guys are doing,
Yeah.
hanging out, playing video games, watching movies, whatever. Um, Tell me about you liking to draw. How did that come about?
Um, it started when I was around 6 or 7. I had this assignment where we were supposed to draw based on these like adjectives, right, to describe a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I drew. I didn't like the drawing at first. I thought it looked really silly. But I
Right.
really liked drawing it. I really liked putting that time and effort.
Okay.
And we got a little bit more some assignments like that, and I really liked drawing them because I got better each assignment to the point where it transferred outside of assignments and into actual schoolwork or like outside of schoolwork, where it'd
Okay.
be like drawing on paper and stuff. I never really looked up any tutorials or like actually got lessons on how to draw. It was
Wow.
mostly just trial and error.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, I drew it this way, but it doesn't really look that great. Let me try drawing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of commenced into a hobby that I do not too often now, but
So-
I still do it.
Okay, so now can you just kind of sit and draw someone if you saw their face and you were sitting someplace for like an hour or so and you saw a person, could you just draw their face and like make a nice little silhouette of someone?
I could. Usually I don't. 'Cause I always get the feeling that if I do that, they're going to think I'm like stalking them or like that
Yeah,
I'm
that's a little
weird for
weird.
it.
This person keeps looking at me. What is going on? You said you like to sing too.
Yes.
I can tell you from my own experience, my daughters, I have 7 children. I have 4 boys and 3 girls. My oldest daughter's 39, my youngest son is 19, but my daughter, Carrington, went to The Voice, and she sings and she's very good at that. But that's another story for another time. Tell me about you in singing. How did you come to it, and all of a sudden, like, how did you kind of get involved with it?
I started like chorus or going to like singing at school in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like it at first because it felt like everyone was already like better than me and I was just starting from square one. But I already kind of knew how to sing. It was just never really like in a school setting with other people. And I already did band, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was sort of band and chorus colliding together, which wasn't bad because I knew a lot of stuff in chorus,
Yeah.
like musical terms from band. So it wasn't too bad to like read sheet music or understand dynamics. It was more just being able to sing in a group of people without feeling like embarrassed or like kind of awkward about it.
Yeah, I get that. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that you decided to do, right? So, who left a footprint on you in terms of music? Your parents play a certain type of music in the house that you like, that you sing to? Or is it just something that you just really kind of gravitated to?
It was sort of something I just gravitated to. It wasn't really like a specific person who left a footprint on me, but the music itself, the idea of expressing oneself through music, that's sort of what left a footprint on me, not really a person in particular.
Ah, I liked it. That's the idea of it. That's the whole point. Footprints are left on us every day, good, bad, or indifferent. We meet people in every walk of life we go through. Like, we might go to the grocery store, or we might, walking down the street, we'll meet someone and have this chance encounter, and they'll leave a footprint on us. So we usually take those footprints with us and we decide what we're going to do with them, right? So this one was left on you a little bit musically, and you said, I'm going to use that a little bit and just kind of push it forward, which is a cool thing. What type of music do you like to listen to?
Genres of music, I like rock.
Okay,
A lot of people think I don't like rock. I like rock.
okay,
I like indie music or like soft-spoken music.
okay. All right. Who's your favorite artist, if you had to pick one?
I like the Sundays, the band. I
Ah.
really like the Sundays.
Interesting. Okay.
And the Smiths.
And the Smiths. Okay. All right. I like that. You also mentioned that you like to watch movies. Now, what type of movies do you like to watch? What genre of movies
I like
are you really
movies-
into?
I like movies that sort of drop a lot of explanation and lore on you.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a second to like pause it and like have to like think about what happens.
Oh.
Because I like connecting the dots before they connect the dots
Okay.
to see if they also do or if it's like a plot twist and something different happens.
I like
The
that.
feeling of knowing what's going to happen before the characters or the actors in the movie do.
So if you had to pick a favorite movie, what would it be? If you could watch it over and over again, and you know what's gonna happen, but you're like, oh, every time it happens, what would it be?
This might sound crazy, but it's one of the Disney movies that came out in 2021.
What is it?
Encanto.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people didn't like Encanto, and I never understood that. Encanto was amazing. I watched it like 6 times.
Listen, to each his own. Everybody has their own likes and dislikes. I love everything that Disney does, obviously.
Yeah.
I have grandkids that love them as well. And I actually used to kid my wife. I got Disney for my grandkids, but I really got it for me. You know what I mean? That was that deal. Tell me a little bit about video games, because you said you wanted to be a designer, perhaps, of video games. What video games do you play?
I less play them more than I do watch other people play them, usually because the video games end up being like costly, and you know me, I don't have money. I like to watch other people explain video games or explain the premise of them, especially if it's like video games that have multiple versions of them, like series. Those types of video games I really like to know more about because they usually follow a storyline, and I love video games with storylines. I don't mind video games with no storyline, but they're like, I like video games with storylines. They're way more like easy to sort of indulge in than it is with video games with just no storyline, no plot, just play for a few hours and then go to bed. Like,
well, I can tell you, the video games they have today are amazing. So during COVID, Mr. Davis was stuck in the house like everybody else, and the video game I played was NBA 2K. I was just all over that. That was the only thing I played. I played that, and my brother lives in Florida, and we played online a little bit. We played some football, some Madden. That's about it. That's as far as it goes for video games for me, and I love that. You talked a little bit about being a computer engineer as well.
Yes, I.
What led you to that particular thing? Why computer engineering?
Because I really like the idea of coding and creating a coding language that will allow me to make like software or like operating systems or like games or even websites. I will be okay with websites. I really like coding. I like the idea of coding. Even if it's like a little boring to some people, I like it personally. So
it creates a little something, that no one else can do, which is awesome, right? You're creating something from nothing, basically. And then you're just, putting your imprint on that, which is awesome. You said that a footprint was left on you by your kindergarten teacher. Tell me a little bit about your kindergarten teacher.
My kindergarten teacher, Mr. Luiso, was probably one of the best people I could have ever met. She was very kind to me. She was always like encouraging everybody in my class. She never really put anybody down or discouraged anybody from doing what they wanted to, even if their idea was a little bit silly. She was always encouraging people and helping people out no matter what. Even if people didn't need help, she tried to help them. Even if people needed a lot of help, she tried to help them. And she never really discriminated or had favorites in that class. Like, everybody was loved and appreciated individually. I don't know where she is now, but I think she retired, but I'm not very sure.
So here you are as a freshman in high school, and you remember all the way back when you were in kindergarten that footprint was put on you by her. Yes. And you saw how she treated everyone and nurtured everybody, and everybody was the same. And that's what we're trying to strive for in our society today. We're trying to make sure everybody gets nurtured, right, and everybody's taken care of. And that's an awesome thing to be a part of. And you were part of that. That's awesome. When you get to high school, friendships kind of change a little bit, right? From middle school to high school.
Yeah.
And they tend to become more like, I don't know, I don't want to say intimate, but more like you get a little closer, in terms of that, right? And you kind of confide in your friends a little more, and you kind of talk a little bit about your hopes and dreams and things like that, and some of your fears and your personal things. What is it that you want to do that maybe you have confided in your friend that you wanted to become? We just talked about you maybe being an engineer, but do you have any other aspirations about doing anything besides what we talked about?
I'm not very sure, actually, because it was like my plan A. Like, if that didn't work.
So what's plan B?
I'm not very sure, actually.
So plan Bs are funny because my parents always said, if you're not going to do this, make sure you do that. And my dad was very, very good with that. He was always good with saying, okay, this looks like it's going to work out for you, but if it doesn't, you can always do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm good with that, Dad. I understand we're being prepared, best case scenario, hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. That's how it always goes. And the same thing can be true with friendships, right? You're hoping for the best. You're kind of hoping that everything works out the way you want it to. And sometimes it doesn't, right? So what happens when you are with a friend you've had for a while, and all of a sudden, like maybe something comes between you, maybe they're going in a different direction, they're like kind of just not the same like they were in middle school, and all of a sudden you're in high school, and you see that person in the hallway, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, they've changed quite a bit. How do you handle that situation when it comes to friends?
I don't try to stop them or try to change them back into their old version that I used to like. Like, if they change, then they change. There's nothing I can do about that. My only, I guess, concern would be if they've changed towards me, but not towards other people. If they're just still the same happy person towards other people, but different towards me, then I'd be like, hey, what happened? What did I do?
What happened? I get that. So, I mean, everybody has sort of an impact on the growth of each individual, and that's the footprint you're leaving on somebody else, which is really cool. What I want to talk about most is challenging that growth, right, as a person, as an individual. So as we grow as individuals, right, all through our high school years, you're a freshman now. 4 years from now, hopefully we're sitting here talking to you again about how you've changed and how life has kind of changed. Tell me a little bit about your ideal friendship. If you could, like, just make a friend, your ideal friend, what would they be? What qualities would they have? And how would that kind of work in your world?
When people ask me this or ask me, like, what my ideal thing would be, it's so hard to answer because my ideal thing includes so many different things that I see in all of my friends already. So it's so hard to decide, like, the perfect person to be friends with, because some of my friends have attributes that I really like. Some of them don't have those same attributes, but I like different things about them. So it's never really like an easy choice to decide, okay, I want this person to have this, I want this person to have this trait, or things like that. But if I had to make an ideal friend, I would want someone that I could, like, trust and confide in. Because all of my friends share that one exact trait. I can trust them with anything.
I like that. I like that. So trust is the most important aspect of any friendship. You know, when you're transitioning, there's a lot of challenges, right? Especially in middle school. And in high school as well now. But think about high school, where the classes are a lot longer. You have more time management. You're really kind of responsible for your own education, even though the teachers and the guidance counselors and advisors are there to help you with that. It's you that puts in all the work. And a lot of times you need your friends to really support you through those emotional times, right? Because sometimes you might not be feeling up to it. You're like, I don't really want to do this. I'm not sure I want to, do this. But your friends can be there to help guide you through those tough times. And that's what's important, is picking someone that you know that will help you over those hurdles in life, right? Having them leave that footprint on you, right, of friendship and loyalty, and making sure that you get what you need and they, in turn, get what they need. That's really one of the most important things. Lasting impacts are very, very important as far as friendships go. I've had 2 friends in my lifetime, 2. And I had one since high school, which is interesting. Him and I both got into DJing at the same time. He unfortunately passed away some time ago. Rest in peace, my guy, Maurice Rice. That's okay. But he imprinted a footprint on me to love music and DJing. And so I kind of took that and I've used that all through my life, right? He was the one friend who left that on me. And then I have another friend from Haiti, by the way, who speaks 5 different languages. And he's funny because he's one of those guys that is a happy-go-lucky guy. You know what I mean? He's like, he speaks 5. I always used to tease him, like, dude, you got to get a job at the UN because you can just, like, translate, like, 5 different languages. You should do that. So lasting impact of friends is really, really important to me, and I know it's really important to you. Let me ask you this. If you could vacation any place in the world, didn't matter where it is, money was no object, where would you go?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't like when people ask me this question because I can never decide because it's like, ooh, maybe
There's so many
France.
cool places to go, by the
But,
way.
like, London is really cool.
Okay. Ever been to London?
No.
Never. Okay.
If
All right.
not London, then like maybe Canada.
Canada's awesome.
Or
I went to Canada when I was a kid. I went to Niagara Falls, actually. And they had a bunch of museums over there, but then the falls was really awesome.
Canada or Sweden,
Sweden?
Norway.
All right. Where have you been?
Not out of this country, I'll tell you that.
Have you been out of the country? Been to Florida or
Yeah.
California, a place like that, like Disney World or whatever?
I've
Couple
not
places
been to
like that.
Disney World, but I have
No?
been to Florida.
Florida? Okay. All right. All right. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure where I'd vacation. I always say Bora Bora. I like an island, like, someplace warm,
I like
something
colder
like that.
places. I really like colder places.
Colder places. Okay. What's your favorite subject in school?
Maybe science or
You say
math.
science?
Science or math.
Not history? Mr. Davis?
I
Oh.
like the class. You're asking the subject.
Yes, I am. That is true. Good Good point.
I
You
like
got
the
me there.
Subject, science and math.
Okay.
I like the class, history.
Okay, all right. I like that. That's a good answer. It's a good answer. All right, so let me ask you this question because I like this one and I always think about it myself a lot and I think about it differently. If you could have lunch or dinner with anyone in history, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I have to think. Because there's so many people in history that are odd. And some people who are really nice or
Yeah.
have done good for the world.
Yes, they have. So what would it be? What do you think? What would it be? Who would it be?
I have to think.
That's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Because in history, you usually learn about the sort of odd people, and you don't
Mm-hmm,
typically learn about the people who are good.
So you can pick anybody. It doesn't matter who. Anybody's could be your favorite artist. It could be dead or alive. It could be your favorite musician. It could be anybody, actor, anybody at all in history. So if you had your chance to have dinner or lunch with anybody in history at all, who would it be and why?
James Madison.
James Madison. Oh, and tell us why. That's an interesting one.
Because he's done so much for the United States Constitution in helping, like, framing it and putting it together.
Yeah.
And giving ideas on how to make it better.
Okay.
That's why I would like to have lunch or dinner with him to ask him, like, how do you think of that?
Wow.
Why didn't I think of that when I was there?
One of our founding fathers. How about that? That's pretty cool, by the way. I had a couple. I usually say Kobe Bryant, and I usually say Martin Luther King. But I had an epiphany a little bit the other day, and I started thinking about Abraham Lincoln, right? And I would like to sit with Abraham Lincoln just to talk to him and ask him why you thought the Emancipation Proclamation was an important document to sign, right? Because it kind of galvanized back then all the states, right? Some states didn't like it. Some states were kind of against it. We're not really for that. But he did it anyway. He did what he felt was the right thing to do. And so having done that, I think it was like amazing for him to have that foresight of being able to galvanize people by signing that document and helping out all those folks that needed it back then. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation with Mallory Calice, freshman here at Beverly High School. I have enjoyed our conversation immensely. We're going to do this again when you're a senior. Yeah. We'll come back and we'll talk and we'll see exactly how you have transformed from a freshman now to a senior later on in life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to check us out on Channel 22. All right, it's also posted on SoundCloud. And I leave you with this question. Who left a footprint on you? See you next time. Bye-bye.